let's delve into that one song uh, that has become quite successful. Then, "Welcome
Yeah.
Home." Do you remember writing it?
Uh, Somewhat, but not. It's not it's not relative to how it appears and how well it's done. There wasn't like a particular moment that I would say was noteworthy in making it.
Mm.
Like that's always been the odd part to me. Is something that I sometimes things I do quickly do really well, and sometimes things I labor over don't, or vice versa. I found no rhyme or reason. So as far as that one and like any memories of it, no. It was just part of a record I was making. It wasn't the first thing I recorded. It wasn't the last. It was somewhere in the middle. Um, and uh, I mean, a lot of times, usually the way it's made is it had much more to do with necessity. So I have a philosophy with recording, and um, you're never going to have the right time and you're never going to have the right setup. Like a lot of people get fixated on getting their environment perfect, thinking that'll make the difference. And I've never found that to be true. So anytime I'm making a song, like say with that one, someone I once asked me why like the like footsteps and the clapping, and I was like, I just didn't have a drum set. That's just what I had. I had a board on the ground because I just needed to make some sort of sound, and that's what sounded okay. And then I was like, well, I need something to lift in the chorus, so I just did a lot of hand claps. It's just what I had. I didn't have a lot of stuff with me. I had a piano, a guitar, and where I was at the time, I couldn't play very loud, or people would call the police on me. So, um, yeah, I was just using what I had. I knew the big thing was that it's a bittersweet song. It's catharsis is a big part of it, but it's a catharsis that doesn't last. So I needed these outpourings of emotion. And my idea was I just love the sound of choruses, choral music. So I just like I'll just record this like 40 times. I just kept doing it over and over and over. And because it's supposed to be like this outpouring. And I think that moment just worked for people. Like there's something about that that connects. The fact that the most notable part is non-lyric, it's just kind of almost yelling, just getting it off your chest. Um, but as far as like any like anecdotes about the recording process or like it being a moment, no, that's always what's so funny to me. I was like, I don't know, it's not like I put it out even and people particularly liked it. I just put out the record and didn't do well and we moved on. It was not like there was no moment until the Nikon spot that like highlighted it.
One guy at Nikon really liked it.
Yeah, he and it was really funny because I know in Europe it got played a lot, but it wasn't licensed in America, so I never had to hear it, which was great. Because that's really uncomfortable hearing your own music and spaces away from you outside your studio. That's awful. But yeah, from what I gather, it played on TV all the time, um,
Yeah,
which
I remember.
is
I'm Swedish. I remember having that on TV a lot back in the
okay.
day.
Yeah, but no, it's never been to me effort and reward are completely unrelated. Um,
Mm.
it's never been any rhyme or reason, and I so for me that kind of puts it back to this idea of you don't know how any of this will work. I think the trick is just to have really high standards for yourself and do everything you can to achieve them. And if you can feel the emotion that you're hoping someone else can feel, someone will get it. But it can't be the satisfaction of merely creating something. I think whenever we first create something, we're just happy that something in our heads exists externally.
Mm.
And, because I can say like the moments of creation always feel great. And half the time when I go back with objective ears, they're not. But it was fun to do, so I always go, that's fine. Just doing it is fun and worthwhile in itself. But if I can't hear it or feel it when it comes back out of a speaker and I'm no longer performing it or doing it, it's not there. It was only in that moment. But yeah, so I have no idea. I really can't tell you. I don't know why the person in Nikon heard this song. I don't know. It is just a random email, and I figured it would just be something that got aired a couple times, and that was it. And it just turned into this thing that just keeps going, and has like pretty much paid for me to make whatever weird record I want to make, and I don't have to worry too much if it does anything, because that song just doesn't go away. So I'm very grateful. It's not one that I've had people in the past almost be like, does it feel weird to just have one song do so well? And almost like I should be upset that there's not more doing that. And I'm surprised I have one. I was just like, what? I still like, I never thought that what I was doing was that relatable. So one is still weird to me, and I'll take it. Like that's, it pays for me to be an artist. I'm not going to complain.
Do you still connect with it as a song, as a lyric?
I do. It's a, I do because thematically it keeps happening. It's something that, like the core idea of the song is when you leave the place you're from or anywhere that you've lived a long time and become kind of part of the fabric of it, when you move on um, and return, even if it was just for a year or two, but you come back, it's for me always been such a mixed set of feelings. On one hand, it's nice to see such familiar things. There's a relief in it because it's just so known to you. But then on the other hand, it moved on without you. You were no longer part of that fabric. That fabric filled the gap. And you can't ever totally go back to where it was. You might find a different place in the fabric, but it always feels different. That ship sailed. And it's kind of the cost of leaving a place, I think, of even if you return, you don't return the same way. And so to me that was like the emotion of it is like it has to be bittersweet, it has to be joyous, but also I don't belong here anymore. Not totally. And I also don't know where I belong. So it's almost like a, the port in a storm kind of thing. I'm very happy to have the shelter, but I know I need to go again. So it's to be able to connect to that. Yeah, I still move around. I still don't quite know where I'm gonna live. I know, as the vaccines happen and pandemics ease up, like we're gonna move again, and because I'm still not sure where that is. Like I find things, but I've never quite been somewhere and said this is home. Mm-hmm. So as such, yeah, the topic still applies. I'm still looking. So it doesn't feel weird to sing it, but it is interesting to have maybe just as part of like I thought I would have moved on from that by now. Like 15 years later, and I'm like, yeah, still don't know the answer to this one. Maybe I never will.
Well, the nice thing about it is you have to play it, and it's probably better if you still feel a part of it.
Yeah, I have thought more than once. I'm glad that it ended up being something that is still relatable to me. I would play it anyway because I really believe that shows are a service. They're for the audience. I mean, yes, you get paid for it. Not that I make money on tour. I usually don't, but it's still, to me, a show is someone who has enjoyed what you do. And that's why I've always liked audience to pick playlists. Like, basically, what do you want me to play? I'm not going to. This isn't for me. You bought the ticket. What would you like me to play? That's how I perceive it. and I know I'll play that song forever anytime I play a show, but I also just lucked out on that one too, in that it's an easy song to make communal and to share just because it needs lots of voices. And I always like it when it's such a fun thing to have everyone do it once. It feels really good. So the fact that it can be a shared song and it's the song that I will play forever, I was like, I lucked out there too, because it could be some like personally painful moment that I wrote a song about that they're like, hey, play that forever. I'd be like, oh, that's terrible. Like, it could be it's like, what was Fire and Rain?
Yeah.
The James Taylor about his friend's suicide.
Yeah.
That could be your biggest song. You're
Yeah.
constantly talking about your dead friend. I was like, yeah, it could be a lot worse. You know?
Exactly.
So, yeah, no complaints.
What are the ships that are launching from your chest in that song?
So, the way that that song is broken up is you have the first half. I read a lot about insomnia, just because I have always had I have sleep trouble, always have. So that is a. I write a lot because I can't sleep, so I write a lot about not sleeping. So the first half is that. It's like the worst feeling to me is like the 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 sun coming up and I'm still not tired. Is like that's such a frustrating feeling. Um, but and then you're back somewhere. At least like you can say like this stuff is still with me, but I'm somewhere familiar. And then we get to the second half, which is I think a lot of times when we're bumbling through life and trying to figure out what we're doing and making our way, it's a lot of mistakes. And it's a lot of you just kind of collect all these scars, like things you're like, why did I do that? I wish I had never said that. Why did I go to this thing? Like it can be a lot of those feelings. And so again, you go somewhere familiar and you feel like you can just let it all go. So to me, it was just sort of the imagery of just like the all the missteps and stuff for a little bit. I could just let them out, and you don't need to name them. It doesn't need to even be particular. So that was where like it was between like the peeling scars off, like just get all of this out of me for a minute because I'm in a safe place and I can do that.
Hmm.
But then again, it's like after each one, it like goes into like uncertainty again, and so that song is a lot about like the just kind of having a moment that joy of being somewhere familiar and but you just know it's not going to last. Like I'm going to go back out. Like I don't really belong here anymore. So yeah, long form way of saying regrets.
Yeah,